Yeah, Naresh Sharma ji,
जी सर।
keep your microphone in off mode.
माइक्रोफोन सर मेरे पास
हाँ,
उपलब्ध नहीं है।
जो आप आगे देख सकते हैं ना, एक एक
जी सर।
कैमरा का बगल में एक सिंबल है, उसको क्लिक करिए, वो ऑफ हो जाता है। जैसा सामने कैमरा का है सिंबल है, और एक बगल में एक ऐसा है, छोटा सा सिंबल है।
मुझे नहीं आ रहा है।
ऊपर की तरफ ऑडियो सेटिंग्स है ना, एक उधर रखो, उसको ऊपर रखने से ना
इसको
वो
इसको
क्लिक
इसको
करो
करोगे
उसको। कैमरा का
ये
बगल में जो है एक सिंबल है,
अदर। हाँ सर।
उसको ऑफ कर दीजिए, क्योंकि ना कभी बात हुआ वो आवाज सुनते रहते हैं, डिस्टर्बेंस होता है। एक बार क्लिक कर दो उसके ऊपर, वो सिंबल के ऊपर क्लिक कर दो, तो वो ऑफ हो जाता है। या एडमिन कर सकते हैं।
ये नहीं हो रहा सर मेरे को तो।
नो प्रॉब्लम, अब हो गया। गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
Yes, very good afternoon.
Shall we wait for some more time, 5 minutes?
Yeah, very little number of students have joined so far.
Only.
We should wait for another 5 minutes.
Okay sir, no problem sir, 5-10 minutes.
We have already sent SMS to all the students, before 3-4 minutes.
Okay sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay sir.
Perai.
Yeah, सब लोग can you see my slide please?
Yes, yes, it is visible. Your card is visible.
Okay, okay. Sir, आप admin है ना? You can control this microphone, you know. Like narration majlis microphone on पे है. You can switch it off.
Yeah, admin is our computer operator who is sitting in the ground floor. Anyway, so if there will be, and compared to the previous session, today your voice in the present session is quite better.
Okay, sir. Okay. What happened? Last section. Any problem was there?
Last session the voice was a little bit low, but
Okay.
now your voice is quite audible and it is loud and clear.
Okay. For only 4 students have joined. How many students have enrolled, sir? Total for this program? January 2024 program?
Actually, there are 70 students.
70.
70 throughout the country.
But still the participation is very poor then.
Participation is very poor. I don't know what is happening to them. We have been sending mails repeatedly.
Okay.
And now also he has sent the SMS and all that.
I think one day before and in the morning, then lunch before. I think so 3 times you can send. One day before it is better to send in advance. Okay. Tomorrow there is a class, be that and all, confirming them.
Yeah.
Morning also can send. And just before program, 3 o'clock means 12 o'clock once again. Then just program before we can.
True.
But many people may be working people. I don't know where they are stuck up also.
We are sending, in any case, we are sending the recordings to all the students in their respective email ID. But then, physical presence is required because for you also, it is a kind of encouragement to the counselor also. If there will be little number of participants, then
will not have much interest.
Counselors, feel to some extent disinterested. So we should start, sir. We should start because no problem as such. Recording is there. So
okay, no problem, sir. You can. I think already 10 minutes we waited. You can start, sir.
Yes.
Just give introduction. They can proceed. Would you like to give introduction, sir?
No, you can start straight away because students are already they know because you have been taking classes. They know you pretty well and they know about the sessions. Everything.
Okay, sir.
You can start straight away.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everybody. Actually, I was supposed to take this class on 14th because of some urgent work on court matter. I had to present before the court, honorable court, physically. Therefore, I have cancelled my class. But anyhow, the topic will be covered today. And today's topic and the next program on 24th, I think so, I'm going to take up class from 2 to 5. Instead of 3 to 5, my class timings will be between 2 to 5. And the changes in this regard, that will be communicated by IGNOR to you all. So that in the next class on 24th, I'll be covering 2 aspects, healthcare-based management system in share countries as well as the legal framework and all. These 2 topics I will cover up on 24th. But today, I am going to cover up a topic on establishing healthcare waste management system in healthcare facilities. Now, in my last class, you all heard about, we have learned about the categories of various types of waste, biomedical waste. And we have also learned that from healthcare facilities, about 85% of waste is generated is the general waste and remaining 15% is highly infectious waste. Out of this 15%, the 5% is generally composition of chemical or radioactive waste or hazardous waste, and 10% is highly infectious healthcare waste. Therefore, this is the composition of the waste generated from the healthcare facilities. The last class, we also learned what are the categories of different types of waste generated from hospitals. We also learned the definition of waste. We also learned what is the classification as waste as per source of generation, which includes healthcare waste, agriculture waste, industrial waste, and municipal solid waste. Apart from this, we also learned the classification of biomedical waste as per Biomedical Waste Rules 2016 notified by the Government of India. It says there are 4 categories of waste as per Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2016 notified by the Government of India. One is yellow color waste, the second one is red color waste, the third one is blue color waste, and fourth one is the white color waste. We also learned classification of healthcare waste as per WHO. As per WHO, we learned the classification of waste has been classified into 2 categories. One is hazardous waste, and the second one is the non-hazardous waste. As a part of infectious hazardous waste, there are sharps, infectious waste, pathological waste, pharmaceutical waste, and toxic chemical radioactive waste, which are highly hazardous, the infectious waste, whereas non-hazardous waste are there like general waste. We also learned the classification of waste as per hazardous nature. One has non-hazardous waste and other one has hazardous. We also learned the classification of waste as per physical properties into 2 categories. One is solid waste and the second one is the liquid waste. Solid waste is also subcategorized into biodegradable waste and the non-biodegradable waste, whereas liquid waste has been classified into subclassified into black water, grey water, storm water. We also learned what are the harmful effects of waste on human health if waste have not been properly disposed of. What type of problems hazards are associated with the healthcare waste if the waste is not properly disposed is it may cause infections to the healthcare staff, which includes doctors as well as the medical staff, paramedical staff, as well as the infections to the patients, and also the infections to the rag pickers who are dabbling with the waste, and also including the animals who are coming in contact with the waste. It also causes the improper waste management also causes the burning of waste, open burning of waste, or discharge of waste also causes water pollution. Apart from this, we also learned that it is the improper waste management causes infections, injuries to waste handlers, because if proper waste is not segregated, if proper label is not there, without knowingly the waste, what type of waste is it, they may come in contact with the such waste, and that may cause the injuries to the waste handlers because they don't know what type of waste is there if it is not properly the labeled in the bag. And also from the aesthetic point of view, if waste is not disposed properly, from aesthetic point of view, the waste will not be proper. And what are the main issues associated with the biomedical waste management is the occupational safety issue. It causes occupational safety problems, means injuries to the healthcare workers, which may include medical and paramedical staff. And from environmental safety issue is concerned, the humans or animals may come in contact with them. That may cause the health impacts to the workers or who are coming in contact with the waste. It also causes problem if waste is not properly managed. It is going to cause patient safety. If infections are more in hospital, then patient may not recover. Instead of recovering, he may die also if infections are more in the hospitals. Therefore, patient safety issue is also one of the important aspects in the biomedical waste management. Attitudinal issue means attitude, there should be segregation, means waste has to be segregated. Properly stored means it has to be properly stored. And it has to be, the waste has to be pre-treated in accordance with the law, means it has to be pre-treated. The waste which is requires pre-treatment, and waste has to be treated and disposed of in accordance. These are the issues related to the biomedical waste which we have learned earlier. Suppose I also told that if open burning of waste causes anything waste burned in uncontrolled conditions that causes toxic emissions like the dioxins and fuels, they're going to cause, they're carcinogenic in nature, means it may cause cancer to the patients. Therefore, Open burning of waste should not be done under uncontrolled conditions at all. The waste has to be incinerated under controlled conditions only. It cannot be disposed or it cannot be burnt in open areas as you feel. It has to be done only in the controlled conditions. What are the various modes of transmission of infections? There are so many. The suppose if any waste is there, that may cause the health impacts, and the mode of transmission may be due to the infected air. Suppose if a person who is having infections, if a person coming in contact with that infected persons, like COVID, people used to say that don't contact infected person. Please try to maintain a safe distance of 2 to 3 meters. That means there is a possibility of the transmission of infection through air because of any coughs. The infection may pass on through cough. Therefore, it may contaminate the air. When you inhale, then it may cause problem to the healthy person also. Suppose when you come in contact with a infected person, when you shake hands, or people say that don't shake hands with the infected persons also. Therefore, you may have the infections on his hand. When you come in contact with also, they may cause problems. It may get infection also. And through water contamination, any waste is disposed of in open yards. If there is rainfall or runoff, then that waste come in contact with the water will come in contact with the waste. Thereby, the runoff will come and join the water bodies. By chance, if anybody takes that water without any treatment, then it is going to cause infections to the persons who is going to take that water. And also through formats means cloth or anything that people may get infections. Any person infected wore his cloth, and if somebody come in contact with that sort of cloths, it may cause infection to the healthy person also. And through infected blood, if any blood is there, infected blood is there, if it is transmitted to any healthy person, that is going to cause health impacts to the for example is the HIV. Any needle used, syringe used by the HIV patient, if it is used by any healthy person, he may get infected definitely by the HIV infections. Therefore, mode of transmission of infections is generally through infected air, or when you come in contact with a person, or through water contamination, or through fomites, or through infected blood injection. These are the mode of transmission of infections. What type of problems you may get if any waste is not properly managed? What type of diseases you may get? Diseases you may get like hepatitis A, B, and C, or HIV. These AIDS or waterborne diseases such as you may get cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. You may get loose motions. Dysentery is a loose motions. Cholera is also symptom of both fever and the loose motions. And typhoid is also contaminated because of waterborne diseases. A person may get typhoid. Staphylococcal infections will be there. Streptococcal infections may happen. Anthrax is also one of the diseases that are transmitted due to improper management of healthcare waste, and candida infection. These are the infections that you can expect if the healthcare waste is not properly managed. As per WHO, in the year 2000, of course, it is very old data. Sharps injuries to healthcare workers were estimated to have caused about 66,000 hepatitis B infections, 16,000 hepatitis C infections, and 200 to 500 HIV infections among healthcare workers because of poor management of waste. For healthcare workers, the fractions of these infections that are due to precutaneous occupational exposure to these are all the contaminants that may happen. The chances are there HIV 4%, the hepatitis C virus infection may be 39%, and hepatitis B virus infection may be around 37% if any waste is not properly managed. And there are chemical waste also generated from the hospitals. These chemical waste are also required to be properly treated and disposed of. This is what we learned in my last class, that if waste is not properly disposed of, then it may cause infections, it may cause problem to the healthcare staff, both to doctors, the paramedical staff, and also it may cause problem to the sanitary workers, it may also cause problem to the waste handlers, it may cause problems to the patients who are undergoing treatment. Also, waste is not properly disposed. It is because air pollution, water pollution, and aesthetic point of view, it is not proper. Therefore, whatever the waste that is generated from hospitals has to be safely disposed of so that the waste is not going to cause any impacts. You also learn, I'm just recollecting what you learned. You also learn components of biometric waste management is like segregation at source is this is what the components of biometric waste management. Segregation is a one step, first step where the waste has to be segregated properly so that not going to cause any problem. And collection, safe collection and safe storage is very next problem is the problem one has to the waste that has been segregated, it has to be collected and stored safely. Third important aspect is that the transportation. Waste has to be transported within the hospitals and also from hospital to the treatment facility. Therefore, it has to be done safely. And finally, the waste has to be treated and disposed safely by on-site treatment facilities or by off-site treatment facilities. On-site treatment facilities is allowed only to have pre-treatment of biometric waste, whereas in case any no count facility is there within a distance of 70 kilometers, then healthcare facility is allowed to have their own treatment facility. An offsite facility means waste is collected from the hospitals and that waste is transported and finally it is treated and disposed of through a facility called as offsite treatment facility. We call it as a common biometric waste treatment facility. And what are the various important waste management hierarchy are? The prevention is the most preferred option, means try to reduce the waste generation and reduce the waste generation, reuse whatever the waste, the treated waste can be reused, that you can treat, the waste can be reused, recycle, whatever the waste can be recycled after proper treatment, the waste can be recycled, and recover. Some waste can be recovered, useful raw materials that can be used as raw material to manufacture any other products, like mercury. Mercury, any breakage of mercury is there, thermometers is there, whatever the mercury spill is there, you collect mercury and that mercury can be given to the recyclers. They will recover the mercury from that spill. Then that recovered mercury can be used for the purpose of manufacture of thermometers or BPR products. Then finally, whatever after adopting these 4 Rs, we call it as reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. Any waste that is there, it is not possible to recover, reuse, or recycle. Then, in such a case, that waste can be treated properly. After proper treatment, only the waste has to be disposed of. After treatment, only the waste has to be disposed of. Otherwise, waste cannot be disposed of at all. These are the main waste management techniques are source reduction. We have heard four R's. Source reduction. First there should be waste management techniques is the prevention. Prevention of the waste generation is the first preferred option. Therefore, accordingly, source reduction has to be taken care of. Recovery, reuse, recycling, the options has to be adopted by adopting good practices or process change or the product change. And subsequently, whatever the waste no more can be recycled or recovered or reused, then that waste has to be properly treated and disposed of. There are so many options. I don't know whether you have heard or not. The earlier speakers would have talked about these specific examples of waste management options in healthcare facilities. Source reduction means environmentally preferable purchasing has to be done so that there is no need to purchase all items which is not required at all. Inventory control in pharmacy and stock room. Therefore, there is no need to purchase the pharmaceutical drugs which may have some time limits. Afterwards, it becomes a waste if you don't use them. Therefore, the limited way one can purchase so that it can minimize the waste generation within the given time. You can sell all the pharmaceutical drugs and it can be reused. Otherwise, it becomes a waste. Employing reusable and recycled products. Only you have to use reusable and recycled products. Now, for example, glassware which they use in the hospitals, especially in the laboratories, they try to reuse it. But after proper treatment, surgical instruments are there. there is no necessity to, it is not possible to dispose of them because they are costly in nature. Therefore, what the surgical instruments, everything, they go for treatment. After treatment of the surgical instruments, once again they reuse it also. They will not dispose. It is not a single use the products. Recovery and reuse, like solvents, whatever they use in hospitals, laboratories, they can recover it so that recovered solvents can be further reused. Silver recovery, for example, X-ray. Now if you go to any hospitals, X-ray department, they are not using the old type of X-ray field development where they use the photochemicals. Now there is a digital. Therefore, this particular type of thing is not the replaced with the digital X-ray department. Therefore, there no any silver, there no any photochemical the liquid waste generated from the X-ray department in the hospitals. Therefore, there no this problem at present because of most of the hospitals they got their digital X-ray departments. Recycling. Recycling office paper, newspapers, aluminum cans, glass bottles, construction debris, printer toner, etc. It has to be recycled. Otherwise, it becomes waste generation. The composting. Any waste is biodegradable in nature. The solid waste can go for the conversion of waste into such waste, biodegradable waste into manure. Therefore, it can minimize the waste generation within the hospital, like with respect to the general waste. There are so many measures can be adopted by you. I think you might have learned from already from the concerned, the expert would have told you. You also have to see that the bomb waste, whatever is generated, has to be segregated as per the color coding. Like I told you, there are 4 categories of waste. One is the yellow color. Second one is red color. Third one is white, and fourth one is blue. What type of waste will go into yellow color? Anybody can say, please? What type of waste will go into yellow color bags or bins? Anybody can guess?
Human anatomical waste, sir.
Human analytical waste, animal analytical waste, chemical liquid waste. I think here it is there. You can see here. Chemical liquid waste, microbiology, another waste, cytotoxic waste. All these waste will go into the yellow color bag. Similarly, red color, what type of waste will go into the red color bag? Yeah, you can try, no problem. Even if you're wrong, no problem. Somebody can respond. Please.
Rubber and plastic, sir.
Yeah, all plastics. All plastics will go into red color container or bag. Yes, please. Similarly, the white container. It is a translucent container. What type of waste will go into white color the container?
Metallic sharp objects.
All shops, needles, the blades, etc. All these
Yes.
shops will go into the white container. But that container should be translucent and leak proof, waterproof, etc. Similarly, the fourth category is blue color waste. What
Blue.
type of waste will go into the blue color waste?
Metallic
Glass waste,
body implants and glass
metal body
vials and ampules, broken
glass
ampules.
waste will go into yes, broken glass and metal body implants will go into the blue color container or box. Yes, please. These are the 4 categories. Therefore, for every the bin or color coded bag, we have to put the biohazard symbol. Whereas in
Yes.
case of cytotoxic drugs, we have to put symbol called C. This is the label you have to put on that so that you can identify which is cytotoxic drug, which is biohazard symbol. It means infection based. Easy. It is a must. Similarly, waste has to be stored. Means waste, once if you are taken into the bag, once if it is filled, 2/3 is filled, generally then it has to be taken out and bag has to be replaced. Bag has to be replaced. Once the bag is filled with the 2/3, then you have to put a tie it. Then you have to put a label and go for the measurement. How much waste you have generated from that particular ward, and you have to put a label. You have the advisor label. You have to put if it is infectious waste, if it is a cytotoxic drug, you have to put C label, and you have to record. After weighing, you have to record what is the waste, the yellow bag or red bag or white container or blue container that you have generated from each ward. Record has to be made. And when you are sending waste from that ward to storage yard, then you have to put the barcode.
Barcode.
Barcode on the label on the bag or container you have to put. What is the purpose of this barcode, please? What is the
To
purpose of
find out
barcode?
source of interest,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
To identify what is the source of generation means, for example, by mistake, any bag containing a biometric waste is lying on any road. Based on the barcode, we can find out what is the source of generation, which hospital has generated this waste. We
Which
can identify
hospital?
it. Therefore, we can identify source of generation of waste. Means what the purpose of barcode is to identify source of particular generation of that particular bag, which you have identified illegally on any road also. We can find out which hospital has generated biometric waste. That is the purpose of barcode. Some waste, I also told in my pre-treatment class, I also told some waste requires pre-treatment. What type of waste requires pre-treatment? Can you please see here? One is the laboratory waste, microbiology waste, then blood samples and blood bags. This type of waste requires, can you see me here? Can you see, There are
Yes,
four
yes.
types of waste requires. One
Yes,
is
sir.
laboratory waste, microbiological waste, blood samples, and
Blood
blood bags
samples and
requires
blood bags.
pre-treatment. These four categories of waste requires pre-treatment. What type of equipment you can use for pre-treatment? What methods you can use for pre-treatment of waste? Anybody can guess, please? There are two methods can be used. One is chemical disinfection. Can use some chemicals for disinfection of
Autoclaves.
that particular waste. You also can use sterilization.
Yes.
Method is called sterilization. By using autoclave or microwave or
Autoclave,
hydroclave.
microwave.
Which one is more effective, chemical disinfection or sterilization? Which is best compared to chemical disinfection or
Sterilizations.
sterilization is most effective. What is the efficacy of sterilization? You can achieve log 6.
6.
Log 6. What is the meaning of log 6? I told you in the last class. 99.999999%. You can achieve the efficacy of 99.9999, 4 nines after decimal. Similarly, what do you mean by log 4? Efficacy 99.99. All digits will be 4, but the decimal will be after 2 digits. Similarly, in case of log 6, the all 6 digits means 6 nines, but decimal will be after 2 digits, means 99.99999 in case of log 6, whereas the efficacy we can achieve in case of chemical reaction is log 4, that is 99.990. Now, what is the percentage of the sodium hypochlorite you have to use in case of chemical disinfection? 1 to 2%. What should be the minimum residual chlorine in that hypochlorite solution should be there? 30%. And how much time you have to use this chemical disinfection? At least for a minute, the period of
20
20
minutes.
20 minutes you have to use definitely. Otherwise, it will not be effective. Therefore, this chemical disinfection using sodium hypochlorite concentration of 1 to 2% can be used, which is having 30% residual chlorine. And this using chemical disinfection, you have to use at least for a 20 minutes duration. You have to treat the waste using the chemical hypochlorite solution, and we can achieve log 4 as efficacy. These all know. Once waste is segregated, collected, then waste has to be transported from where to where? From within the hospital. What we call, there are two types of transportation. One is on-site, the other one is off-site. First, on-site is called as within the hospital, from hospital to ward to storage yard. That is called intramural transportation or on-site transportation. Means waste collected from wards will be transported through closed type of trolleys. What type of trolleys you use? Closed type of trolleys. Closed type of trolleys. Closed type of trolley. Okay. Just remember that word. Closed type of trolley we have to use for transportation of waste from hospital wards to storage yard. And the person who is transporting waste should have proper PPEs, means mask, gloves, board should be there. Everything he has to put apron. This is a must. Similarly, when the waste is transported from hospital to any treatment facility, that is called as off-site treatment facility. For that, we use the vehicle called any vehicle, automobile vehicle, maybe a big vehicle, depending upon the waste that he is going to carry. Why you are using the small trolley in case of hospitals? The quantum of waste to be transported within the hospital is very less, and therefore the trolley is more than sufficient. Closed type of trolley is more than sufficient to handle the waste generated from the hospitals. Whereas from storage yard to comp facilities, he is going to collect waste from all the hospitals. Therefore, he require big vehicle to transport to collect the waste from hospitals. Then from there, from hospitals, he will take that waste to any treatment facility which is located 70 kilometers. Therefore, then the waste will be treated and disposed of. What should be, how the waste has to be transported? Always we have to use the closed type of trolley, and proper PPV should be there, a person who is the transporting this the trolley. Then trolley should never be taken very adjacent to the patients. What will happen if any trolley is taken very adjacent to the patients? What will happen? Anybody can guess, please? Suppose if trolley is taken next to the patient, trolley containing waste is there. If you take this trolley next to the patient, what will happen? Yeah, guess please.
Patient may get infected, sir.
It will get infection. Chances of infection will be more to the patients. If you transport the vehicle close to the patients, then chances of infections to the patient will be more, and chance of recovery will be very less. Therefore, he may die also because of infections. Therefore, the the waste containing the trolley should never be taken next to the patients. Okay. Then once the waste is filled in the bag, that has to be collected. Immediately it has to be replaced, and the waste has to be collected into the trolley. And the biogas trolley also has to place with the this is what when you are transporting waste from hospital to common biometric waste treatment. This is a facility is transporting waste from hospitals. Then there should be a proper label. It is called proper label. What type of label is? What type of waste? What is the type of waste category? What is the date, year, date of generation of this waste, and who is sending this waste? What is their details? Everything should be carried by the vehicle who is transporting extramural transportation vehicle. Therefore, that record has to be there with the vehicle when he is transporting waste from hospital to the common environment waste treatment. Otherwise, it is not. Therefore, without this label, the transportation vehicle will not be allowed to transport waste from hospital to the common environment waste treatment. And this vehicle also should be there with the biohazard symbol. That means by seeing this vehicle, we can predict that the waste carrying by the vehicle is highly infectious. Therefore, we have to be away from that particular waste. Therefore, that's why biohazard symbol should be there. And how the vehicle should be? Vehicle should have partitions. You can see here some of the examples. The vehicles carrying the transporting the vehicle from the hospital should have the partitions. They have to place the yellow color containers only into the yellow color portions only, and a red color container also had to be placed separately, and there should be partitions within the vehicle for transporting the different types of 4 types of waste. And how the waste has to be stored? Can you store the waste within the wards? Anybody can guess, please? Can you store any biomedical waste within the wards? Do you all agree with me?
Also, we should not store waste in ward. We should store in specific room, sir.
Yeah. Therefore, what will happen if you store the waste within the wards?
Again, there is a more chances of getting infection to the patient and as well as the caretaker.
Patients get affected. Therefore, the waste should be stored only in the designated places. You cannot store as a waste. Therefore, waste should be a part of the hospital. It should have a separate space for storage of waste, not as a part of the hospital where the patients are there, visitors are coming, then doctors and paramedical staff are there, waste handlers are there. Waste cannot be a part of. Only temporarily they can store in the wards, but periodically the waste has to be collected and it has to be stored separately. How the provision should be there? The storage yard should have the separate provision, like for storage of different types of waste, like separate baffles. You see here, yellow color waste for placing all yellow color waste, you have to have separate baffle. Red color waste, you have to have separate provision. For blue color waste, you have to have separate provision. Similarly, for white waste, also you have to have separate provision. And the entry cannot be. There should be a proper lighting provision should be there, so that for handling of waste, there should be a proper lighting provision. Also, proper ventilation means proper ventilation also should be there. Otherwise, going inside these storage yards is not suggested. Therefore, proper ventilation also should be provided, and there should be a proper gate. All cannot be allowed to store to make entry into the hospitals. It has to be only authorized person should be allowed to go inside the hospitals. And at the entrance, we have to put a visor symbol and we have to put a label so that everybody will knowing this room may contain infection. Therefore, nobody will try to come inside this room, so that they will be away from these rooms, so that you can avoid. Now, there is a provision is that the rule says within 48 hours of waste has to be disposed of from the hospitals. It means highly infectious waste has to be disposed of within 48 hours. Now, any chance is there waste has to be stored more than 48 hours? Can you please guess? Rule says within 48 hours, untreated infectious waste cannot be stored more than 48 hours. Then, suppose if there is a chance that you have to store the waste as a part of the hospital more than 48 hours, then in such a case, what will happen? What to do? Yeah, Anuradhaji, can you please guess? Suppose if any waste has to be stored more than 48 hours, the rule says within 48 hours you have to dispose of the waste, infectious waste. Suppose if there is any by chance you have to store more than waste 48 hours, then how do you manage it? Says you cannot store more than 48 hours, whereas there are some circumstances wherein you have to store more than 48 hours. Then in such a case, you have to inform to the State Protection Board, stating that because of this reason, I am forced to store the waste more than 48 hours. Therefore, kindly allow me. That intimation has to be given to the State Board so that it is not a violation. Otherwise, if you store more than infectious waste more than 48 hours, then it becomes a violation. Then there should be a proper water collection provision also should be there, so that here if you go for washing of these rooms and all, then the water collection should be there, that should be directed to the ETP directly. These are the requirements. Then depending upon the type of the waste, you are going to treat waste using different technologies. What are the technologies you have? Anybody can guess, please? What type of technologies are there for treatment of biomedical waste as per rules, as per biomedical waste rules? Yeah, Ravi Kiran, can you please guess?
Yes, sir. No burning and non-burning technology, sir.
Yeah, there are two types of technology. Let us say burning and non-burning technologies. In case of burn technology, we have got what type of waste are there, or the technologies are there? Burn technologies, incineration, plasma pyrolysis. Okay. In case of non-burn technology, we have got technologies like autoclave, microwave, hydroclaving, dry heat waste sterilization, and other techniques. Isn't it? Under the technique, chemical disinfection also there. Therefore, you might have heard about this technology. Therefore, they don't necessarily talk about this lengthy. Therefore, these are the color wise, how the waste has to be treated and all I have already discussed. And also, hospitals should have a healthcare waste management committee or biomedical waste management committee should be there in order to ensure the impart training and also to frame the policies in line with the rules and regular monitoring of this waste management, everything. This committee is responsibilities. Generally, this committee will have the hospital's nodal officer, the nursing superintendent, sanitary supervisor, storage in charge, as well as epidemiology nurse, as well as a medical director and administrative head, and members from other departments. They all will be there as a part of the biomedical waste management committee in the healthcare facility. Generally, in a hospital, if number of beds are more than 30, please remember some figures I am stressing. That figures you have to remember. That become a part of your exam definitely. Now, if any healthcare facility having more than 30 beds, in such a case, the biomedical waste management committee is a must. In case if number of beds are less than 30, then in such a case, the hospital can designate one nodal officer for the purpose of biomedical waste management in the hospital. Therefore, the number of bedded hospitals, if it is more than 30, then there will be a biomedical waste management committee within the hospital for ensuring proper management of waste generated from the hospitals. And this committee meets once in a quarter. Quarterly they will meet. And also there is a requirement. You have to give immunization is a must against what type of immunization is a must as per rules to the healthcare workers. Anybody can guess, please?
Hepatitis and tetanus, sir.
Yeah, hepatitis and tetanus is a must against the this immunization is a must for all the healthcare workers. If you have not done it, please get it done. And the what type of the training has to be imparted at the time of induction means when any healthcare worker is joining the hospital at the time of induction, he has to go for training, and once in a year, the healthcare staff has to be trained properly by the healthcare the management. And also, all the workers has to be given PPEs, means proper personal protective equipment should be given. Without PPEs, nobody should handle this waste. It is a must. Therefore, personal protective equipment like gloves, mask, goggles, apron, head cap, and boots should be given as a personal protective equipment for the purpose of handling of the waste management within the hospitals. And all the hospitals have to maintain records. This how many years you have to maintain the records as per rules? For the
5
next
years.
5 years. Please kindly remember these things because of it is going to be important for your exam point of view. If there is objective type of exam, definitely whatever I am saying, that will be there definitely as one of the exam, the question. Therefore, record has to be maintained at least for a period of 5 years. It is a
5
must.
years.
And all the record maintained has to be submitted to the state pollution control board. In the state we have got the enforcing authority, state pollution control board, whereas in union territory we call it as the regulatory authority. In union territory we call it as pollution control committee. In states we call it as state pollution control board. Example, you say if you take Lakshadweep, we have got Lakshadweep pollution control committee because it is a UT. Whereas if you take Karnataka, then we have got Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. Therefore, in the state, we call it as State Pollution Control Board, whereas in the UTs, there is a regulatory authority by name called Pollution Control Committee. Okay, you have to remember this also. And whatever the records you are maintaining, that has to be submitted by what day? By the healthcare facility by June 30th of every year. By June 30th of every year, all the healthcare facilities have to submit the annual report to the respective state pollution control board. Okay, these are the record maintenance. And also you have to maintain the periodic monitoring of compliance verification has to be done through environmental surveillance squad within the hospital. There should be a environmental surveillance squad which they should be able to go for inspection now and then and find out the drawbacks or in segregation or storage or collection or transportation or waste storage methods or pre-treatment process, any objections are there are not being followed as per rules, then this squad can observe and suggest suitable measures to the committee. The committee will examine the issue, recommend observation made by the squad, and this can be implemented effectively through recommendations of the Biomedical Waste Management Committee to be constituted by the healthcare first. Now, these are all what I told till now is how the waste has to be, what type of waste called as biomedical waste, what type of waste has to be segregated properly into the color-coded bin, how the waste has to be stored within the wards, and how the waste has to be transported from the wards to the hospitals, from the hospital wards to the storage yard, and also how the waste has to be transported from the storage yard of hospital to the common biomedical waste treatment facility, which is located within 78 kilometers distance, and what type of technologies has to be followed for the purpose of treatment of waste at the common facility, and some type of waste has to be pre-treated within the hospitals by using technique called the pre-treatment techniques, that is the using chemical disinfection or the sterilization techniques. These are the treatment options here to be followed. It is a part of the management of the waste within the hospital. If you know all these things, then only it is possible for you to understand next topic. This is the main topic today is the healthcare waste management system. This is, suppose if you don't know all these things, whatever I told, you can't understand what I am talking. It becomes very difficult for you to understand. Therefore, I have recollected all these things. That's why I gone into that the issues. Suppose by end of this the session, in the environmental management plan, you will be understanding, explain the necessity for planning, and also delineate the steps for planning of healthcare waste management. What are the essential for safe management of environmental waste is, you all know, life cycle approach means reduce, reuse, recycle, everything has to be ensured. But then attitudinal change. You have to have a very good attitude towards the complying to the rules. For example, if you go to any hospital, yeah, somebody is having some disturbance, may know. Yeah, Anuradha, please kindly will you stop your microphone? Yeah. Now you can hear. When you want to ask any question, then you switch on the microphone and ask question. Okay. Otherwise, just switch off your microphone and hear the lecture. If you want to ask any questions, I will give you opportunity for you to raise your questions. Otherwise, you can switch on your microphone and talk, so that I will stop and I will respond to your queries. Okay. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation. Here, the attitudinal change. Suppose if there is a hospital, various responsibilities have been fixed to the various authorities in the hospital. For example, if there is a biomedical waste management committee, the roles and responsibilities have been fixed for the committee. Committee has to sit once in a quarter, that examine what are the methods to be followed for segregation, collection, storage, treatment, and whether the staff is complying to the rules or not, that they have to examine. Therefore, roles and responsibilities have been fixed. Similarly, to all the paramedical staff, means the waste generators. They are all the waste generators in the process of treatment of patient. Therefore, any waste is generated, that has to be segregated at source itself. 1 minute, please. There is a call. Let me attend to this call. Yeah, thank you very much. Attitudinal change means you have to have attitude towards complying to the rules. Any paramedical staff role has been fixed, means for segregation of waste at source itself, not anywhere else. Then they cannot change that attitude. They have to follow the rules to segregate the waste wherever it is generated. Similarly, a waste transporter means waste handler who is supposed to collect waste, let us say by 8 o'clock in the morning. Then the waste handler has to complete that rule. That is his role and responsibility. That collection of waste from all the wards has to be done by 8 o'clock. He cannot change his attitude that I will go and collect waste afterwards. No, it has to be collected by 8 o'clock. Therefore, attitudinal change has to be the followed, means attitude should be perfect in according with the roles and the responsibilities. Similarly, policy. There should be a policy for the waste management within the hospitals. Means, for example, rule says all the biomedical waste has to be segregated at source depending upon the color coding. That's the rule. Therefore, there should be a policy for the hospital also in line with the rules. Rules also says infectious waste cannot be stored more than 48 hours. Therefore, the policy should be there for the hospital also in line with the rules. Therefore, policy for hospital has to be prepared and framed by the hospitals in line with the existing rules. If no rules are there, then they can frame policy in line with the rules followed in other countries also. Therefore, when rules are there, according to the existing rules within the country, then the waste has to be, the policy has to be there for the hospital in line with the rules, and all these policies has to be implemented by the healthcare staff, definitely following the policy. And committee. As a part of the hospital, there should be a biomedical waste management committee is a must. This committee will oversee the implementation of the waste management within the hospital. Standard operating procedure. Everything has to be laid down. What is the procedure? For example, if there is a spill within the hospital, then there should be a standard operating procedure for spill management. For example, what type of spill management are there? In my last class, I covered on the mercury spill. Anybody can guess, please? Mercury. I told you how to collect mercury spill. Ravikiran?
Yes, sir. First, we have to take away all that articles, revisions, and things. Then we have to
Yeah.
open the window, sir. Switch
Yes.
on the light, sir. So
Yeah.
there should be visibility of the mercury spill, sir. Then we have to take a two edge car sheets, sir. Then we have to mix them and they collected in cylinders, sir.
Yeah.
By
Take two slides, paper slide, the plastic
paper
sheets.
car
Make them
sheets,
closer and closer. Then it becomes a single ball. Therefore, take
single
syringe
ball.
without
Then we
needle,
have to
and you can
transfer
transfer into the bottle half filled
bottles,
with water. Glass bottle or plastic bottle?
glass, plastic bottles, sir.
Plastic bottle. Therefore,
Yes, sir.
you pour it into this. Then how to estimate, how to collect the mercury spills which you cannot see with your naked eye? There are method to identify mercury spill which you cannot see with your naked eye.
We should spread magnesium sulfur
No, no,
powder, sir.
zinc and sulfur. Zinc, not magnesium. Zinc and sulfur powder you can spray.
Sulfur.
What is the advantage of this zinc and sulfur?
They will be very easily visible to us, sir.
Visible, it makes visible. And what is the second advantage is it suppresses evaporation. Mercury
Evaporation,
becomes
sir.
mercury becomes evaporation in vapor form at room temperature. Therefore, that's why what you have to do is you have to, it suppresses evaporation. Therefore, similarly, the procedure followed in other case, you have to collect them closer and closer. Then you have to use the syringe without needle and put it into the suck it and put it into the things. Now, after cleaning, collecting all the mercury spills, then you have to use sodium thiosulfate solution and you have to spray clean it where the spill area, then allow it for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you can use that room. But whatever the syringe that you use is a hazardous waste. The mercury spill water collected is a hazardous waste, and any gloves, etc., which are coming in contact with the mercury spill, that is also hazardous waste category. Therefore, it has to be segregated, kept separately, and we have to put a label called hazardous waste, and you have to handle it as a hazardous waste one. Therefore, like this, every procedure, mercury spill procedure has to be, you have to frame the standard operating procedure by the hospitals for mercury spill management, for any chemical spill management, or any blood spill management. If somebody is carrying the blood samples from laboratory to from the blood sample collection area to laboratory, the process, the sample has fell down, there is a breakage of the blood spill is there, and but we don't know, some bloods may be infectious blood or some may not be infectious. Some patients, all patients are all samples may not be infectious. We don't know which one is, whether infectious was or non-infectious one. Therefore, it is difficult to identify. Therefore, in order to manage the blood spills or chemical spills, any spill is there, there should be standard operating procedure. How to manage them? It is a must. Therefore, the hospital has to come out with the any agency. Huh? Yeah, y'all would like to have some break for 5 minutes. If you all agree, we'll have a break for 5 minutes, please. Okay?
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Yeah, 5 minutes. We'll have a break. I will rejoin after 5 minutes, please. Meanwhile, you can have a coffee or tea, and we will come back, please. Okay? Yeah, can you start, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One more important thing is that the standard operating procedures is a must. Record maintenance is a must, and training. Training has to be imparted to all the healthcare staff periodically. Means some maybe updations may be there for everything. Updation has to be updated to the staff so that they will go with the updated the provisions, so that they will not be any violations. Therefore, you all know what has to be done. Now, what is the healthcare waste management system should be there. One system should be there. Therefore, what are the principles of healthcare waste management? Overall, you have heard also. You have to segregate the waste depending upon the color coding, and once waste is color coded, the waste is segregated as per the color coding. The waste has to be stored properly within the ward, and from ward to the storage yard, it has to be transported using tote trolleys, and also waste has to be stored temporarily within the hospitals and away from the patient areas, and waste has to be disposed within 48 hours. And extramural means waste has to be collected from the waste storage yard of the hospital to the waste treatment facility using the technologies like thermal and the burn technologies. Waste has to be treated and disposed of. What are the waste is generated in the process of treatment of waste also has to be disposed of in accordance with the law. That be mainly landfilling or deburials. And before sending any waste, you can use, you have to adopt the principles called waste, the waste minimization techniques has to be adopted in order to avoid waste generation in the hospitals. And accordingly, what are the waste is generated is required to be managed in an environmentally sound manner. That is the system you have to have. This is the principles of healthcare waste management. Now, mainly, in other way, you can understand easily, the waste has to be, there should be a policy. There should be a policy of the hospital. Waste management policy should be there, and the standard operating procedures to be there for all the healthcare facility. And now and then it has to be monitored and records has to be maintained. Therefore, main principles involved in waste management is the segregation and pre-treatment using disinfection or chemical using disinfection or the sterilization is a must in order to treat some type of waste within the hospital before they discharge. And collection and treatment of waste is a proper treatment of waste is a must. Final treatment and disposal is a part of the healthcare waste management system in the hospital is a must. Now, the rules also says waste has to be reduced before has to be reduced, reuse, recycle, and recover. Therefore, we call it as the 4 R's. We call it as the 4R principles. What do you call 4R principles means? 4R principles means reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. Wherever possible, this has to be adopted so that waste can be generated, can be minimized. And the requirement of user stories I already told you. Then no need to explain about this. The general principles for healthcare waste management is, as per WHO, is healthcare waste is generated in your medical care should be segregated into different fractions, of course, which you are doing based on their potential hazard and the disposal route by the person who produces each waste. Therefore, in India, we got 4 color coded system. Depending upon the type of waste, we have suggested 4 color coded the segregation system within the hospitals. Then the waste is stored properly. Separate containers should be available in each medical area for each segregated waste. Therefore, depending upon the color coding in India, we are segregating the waste, the healthcare waste, into 4 containers, 4 types of containers or bags. One is yellow, red, white, and blue. And all the waste bags, when 3/4 is filled, generally not 3/4 or 2/3, one and the same, of course, are filled, that should be tied, labeled, and measured before transport. Means you have to, in order to maintain the records, of course, is a must as per law, our law also. And closed logical storage inside or near to the medical the facility should be there so that you can store the waste without causing any impact to the healthcare workers. Also, hazardous and non-hazardous waste also should not be mixed during collection, transport, or storage. Means any waste, the biomedical waste has to be handled through the dedicated trolley only for handling of biomedical waste. For handling of general waste, you have to have dedicated trolley for handling of general waste. For handling of hazardous waste, you have to have dedicated the trolleys for the purpose of handling of hazardous waste. Therefore, all the dedicated collection system should be there for the different types of waste. Like, for hazardous waste, you have to dedicate the bags, containers, and trolley. For the management of municipal solid waste, you have to have dedicated the storage systems, collection storage systems, waste collection storage systems, and also the waste transportation system, and also waste storage area. Dedicated storage area should be there. And similarly for healthcare waste also, the biometric waste also, we have to have dedicated the color coded bins within the wards, and similarly the dedicated trolley for transport of waste within the from wards to the storage yard, and also from store the you have to have dedicated trolleys for transport of waste, and also you have to have dedicated the pre-treatment systems within the hospital for the purpose of treatment of highly infectious waste, like laboratory waste, microbiology waste, biotechnology waste, blood samples, and blood bags. And also collected waste is often taken to center storage sites before on-site or off-site disposal. Therefore, W says this is the general principles. Whereas in India, what our rule says, the waste, whatever is requires pre-treatment, that has to be pre-treated, and the waste which has to be treated and disposed of by the hospital, they can go for disposal, treatment and disposal, provided if the healthcare waste is they require, if there is any common biometric treatment facility within 75 kilometers, if any common facility is there within 75, then all the waste has to be collected and disposed of only through common biometric waste facility only. And staff should understand the risk and safety procedure for the waste they are handling. Therefore, these are the general principles as suggested by WHO. Of course, our rules notified by the Government of India also specify the same. And these are the technologies we have to follow the technology treatment of waste. And coming to the healthcare waste management planning, yeah, Jayasri was there. Please kindly switch off your microphone, please. Yeah, Jayasri was there.
Yes.
Kindly switch off your microphone, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the healthcare waste management planning, what are the issues? We are going to learn issues related to healthcare waste management, also planning needs of healthcare waste management, also preparation of action plan for healthcare waste management, how we have to prepare, and nation program for healthcare waste management. What are they going to be? We are going to discuss these aspects in this. Factors affecting poor planning of healthcare waste management planning are lack of awareness. You don't know what is the health hazards associated with the healthcare waste. Therefore, lack of awareness is also one of the reasons for poor planning of healthcare waste management. Inadequate training. Proper training is not there, therefore, you are not going to segregate the waste properly. There is no proper training how to transport the waste, or there is no proper training how to put a label, and there is no proper training for pre-treatment of waste in accordance with the law. If there is no training, then naturally you are not going to comply to the requirements of the various rules notified by the Government of India. Therefore, there is also the inadequate training is also one of the root cause for poor planning of healthcare waste management. Other reasons are there: absence of infrastructure. No infrastructure at all. There is no any color-coded bin or bags. Then you are not going to segregate waste at all in accordance with the law. Therefore, there is no infrastructure. For example, if there is no any proper storage, the provision for storage of waste, healthcare waste, then there is no infrastructure. Therefore, infrastructure should be there. Then only the planning is proper. Non-availability of regulatory provisions means if you go to some other country, there are no any provisions. For example, if you go to Nepal, as on date, there are no rules concerning healthcare waste management. There are no rules. At least Bangladesh have just followed our Indian rules, and they simply publish in Bangla. Therefore, there is no any problem for them. At least the rules are there. Pakistan also, they have got their own the provisions how to manage. But if you go to Sri Lanka, there is no any rules concerning healthcare waste management. They are yet to come out. Bhutan, there are no any rules. They are yet to come out with the rules for healthcare waste management. Nepal, they don't have any rules. Therefore, there should be proper rules should be there how it has to be managed. Therefore, if rules are there, they will comply. Inefficient financial matters means human the resources. For example, if there are no trained persons, then the healthcare waste management in the hospital will not be proper. If there is any financial allocation, if no funds are there, if funds are there, the system will be there. If no funds are there, system will not be there. This is also one of the reasons for poor planning of healthcare waste management in the healthcare sector. Low priority given by to managing the healthcare waste. For example, some hospitals, they are very important. They are very interested in collecting the fees from the patients, but they are not bothered in waste management. Therefore, that is the low priority given to the healthcare waste management. Therefore, these are the reasons for poor planning of healthcare waste management in the healthcare facilities. Therefore, factors to be considered while planning healthcare waste management in the country or district or taluka or terrain. What are the area? What is the level of socio-economic development? What type of socio-economic development is there? Existing regulations. What are the existing regulations? What are the number of generators of biomedical waste, which includes primary health centers, community health centers, district hospitals, regional hospitals, private hospitals, research centers, colleges, etc. They are all may be there. Similarly, availability of human resources, materials, and infrastructure. Political will. There should be political will for coming out with the policies or regulations also. These are the factors to be considered while planning for healthcare waste management in a country or so. What are the other things? Let us see. Activities of healthcare waste management planning are, as per WHO, this planning should be there at the national level or at the local level also. Therefore, national level planning should be there for healthcare waste management. That means legislations, the what type of infrastructure should be there, how the waste can be managed, training needs, financial allocations has to be thought of at the national level. Similarly, in case of local level also, within the area, if you take certain area, how many hospitals are there? We have to know how many hospitals are there, how much waste is generated, or how much quantum of the waste is generated per day. Then what type of waste requires pre-treatment, and what are the provisions we require to have the transportation of waste from hospitals to the facility, and what type of facility should be there, what should be the capacity of the common treatment facility, so that whatever the waste is generated within the local area can be collected safely, transported, and treated in the common biomedical treatment facility. Therefore, what type of treatment equipment has to be installed in that locality so that you can manage the waste. These are all requirements for the healthcare waste management planning as a part of it. As per WHO, these are the requirements. Of course, develop regulatory framework. Regulatory framework for healthcare waste management. In country like India, we have got rules since 1998. And new rules have come up in place of 1998 rules in 2016. Therefore, we got the regulatory framework for management of healthcare waste. We have got a lot of guidelines for management of healthcare waste. And what are the waste is generated from hospital also can be managed as per these guidelines and regulatory framework. Rationalize the healthcare waste management. Therefore, practices has to be made uniform all over the country. Means that's why the government of India has come out with the uniform rules for the management of this healthcare waste. Allocate resources. There should be adequate resources to be the allocated, like which includes finance. There should be finance. The adequate funds has to be allocated so that the hospitals they procure the required the materials or the products required for the management of healthcare waste, and also equipment, any like pre-treatment equipment. If there is no allocation of funds, then the government hospital cannot procure some equipment which requires pre-treatment, like chemical disinfection or autoclave or micro. They can procure the equipment if there is adequate funds. But also funds should be allocated for the purpose of management of waste within the hospitals and for disposal of waste. Therefore, proper allocation of funds is also a must. Apart from this, dedicated human resources should be there. See, if you ask a doctor, there are in the hospital, if you see, there are doctors are there are paramedical staff is there. You cannot ask doctors and all to manage the waste. Therefore, dedicated staff has to be there so that they will do their responsibilities as fixed by the SOP or the policy framed by the hospitals. The launch, the capacity building means we have to have the adequate the capacity building measures so that we will have adequate manpower for the purpose of management of healthcare waste. Training needs. Also have to examine what type of training needs are required to have the proper waste management in the healthcare sector. Reduce pollution load associated with the waste management. Therefore, if you are having all these things, a proper monitoring plan, everything is there, you can minimize the pollution load associated with the waste management. These are the requirement, of course, and these are the steps for developing healthcare waste management plan for geographical area. These are the, for any area, if you want to develop the healthcare based management plan as per WHO is, establish policy commitment. You bring out policy commitment first, means what type of policy is there, whether it is in line with the rules or not, existing provisions or not, the policy has to be framed. Responsibility for healthcare based management. You have to fix the roles and the responsibilities as per the policy. Conduct a national survey of healthcare waste management, means all over the country, how many hospitals are there, how much quantum of waste is generated, and depending upon the area and the towns or cities, and what type of treatment system should be there, what type of the transport provision should be there, everything has to be framed as a part of the healthcare waste management plan. Develop national technical guidelines, means what type of waste has to be disposed of in accordance with the rules. Therefore, guidelines has to be developed so that these guidelines has to be in line with the existing rules. Wherever the rule says that, the guidelines also should be prepared in line with the rules. If anything is missing in the rules part, then the guidelines can give some recommendations or suggestions. They act as a advisory things. Therefore, anything is missing in the rules, then the guidelines will act as a guidance to the followers who are going to implement these guidelines, so that any waste is missing from the rules part, then how that waste can be managed and all can be prepared, covered under the guidelines also. Then formulate a national strategy for healthcare waste. Therefore, we have to all over the country how the waste has to be strategy. Strategy has to be formulated. Yes, these strategies may be a local strategy, or it may be a village level strategy, or it may be a district level strategy, or it may be the state level strategy, or it may be a national level strategy. Therefore, strategy for healthcare waste management will be local, or district level, state level, or national level strategy has to be framed. Develop a policy on regional and cooperative methods of healthcare waste management. You have to develop all these policies related to regional and cooperative methods, and establish legislation. Of course, legislation means which indicates what type of the operating conditions has to be operated by the treatment equipment. For example, if you want to use autoclave for treatment of healthcare waste, then at what temperature autoclave has to be operated, at what the duration you have to operate, what should be the pressure you have to maintain, what should be the duration of operation of autoclave. Therefore, these sort of things should be the frame in order to meet the standards. Now, can you please tell me, autoclave can be operated what temperature? Anybody can guess, please?
125 degrees
What temperature?
Celsius.
121 degrees centigrade.
15,
Pressure
15 lbs per
15 psi. Duration, for your duration of how much period?
within 1 hour,
Not less than
45 minutes.
1 hour. 1 hour you have to. You are talking about dry heat sterilization, whereas the autoclave you have to operate not less than 60 minutes. Okay, you have to operate for 60 minutes definitely. Okay, therefore these are the standard operating procedures has to be there as a part of the rules and regulations. Institute a national training program. You also have to institute a national training program has to be organized so that the training can be imparted to the healthcare workers so that they will try to comply to the requirements all of the rules and regulations. Review the national healthcare waste management program after implementation. Now, okay, you have developed some national plan or local plan or district level plan or state level plan for healthcare waste management. When you are implementing this plan, you may you may come across difficulties. Means somewhere some adequate infrastructure is not there. Then you have to come out with the plan has to be revised. Because when you are implementing any plan, if there is any difficulties, depending upon the difficulty that you are facing when you are implementing the existing plan, then you revise them, incorporate that suitably, then you modify the existing plan, then start implementing the new plan also. This is what the steps to be followed. These are the next steps for National Healthcare Waste Management Plan or the purpose of National Healthcare Waste Management Plan. What is the purpose that you are seeing? The action plan for developing a national program is you have to plan systems and technologies in healthcare waste management. What type of the systems you can use for the treatment of waste that you have to plan as a part of your national plan also or healthcare waste management plan. On-site and off-site waste management. What type of treatment the waste requires on-site treatment and what type of treatment requires off-site. Therefore, the rules are there. As per the rules only you have to come. And you have to prepare one step or some the plan so that you will implement this plan definitely. Options available for waste treatment system. What are the various options are available for treatment of waste? there are options available for us is, what type of options are available for waste treatment? One is burnt technologies and non-burnt technologies. Therefore, what are the various options are available for us? Depending upon the financial, the availability, you can adopt both burning or non-burnt technologies. Depending upon the funds available or resources available, you can adopt any technology. Of course, whatever the rule says, as per the rules only, you have to follow the suggested technologies. You cannot use as a wish. Whatever the rule says, as per the rules only, the technologies for treatment of waste has to be used. And you have to go for zero waste management. Like, waste generation should be minimized as far as possible. Waste generation from the hospital should be minimized. That is zero waste management policy you have to adopt so that you can minimize waste generation. And innovative concepts and possibilities. Not necessarily the rules only will give you all the steps, everything to be followed, but one can come up with some innovative the concepts so that you can go for, you can ensure the compliance to the rules notified by the Government of India in management of healthcare waste. Now coming to the stepwise planning, whatever you said is correct. Already we have discussed. Of course, this is for assessment of healthcare waste is we have to identify, assess the existing waste management practices. What type of waste management practices are there? What are the lacunas are there? Identify gaps in healthcare waste management practices. We have to see what are the steps they are following for waste minimization. If there is, what is the waste generation? What are the practices followed for segregation? How the waste are handled when they are collection? How the waste are collected within hospitals, and how the waste are transported? How the waste are stored? How the waste are the occupational safety measures followed? Spill management can be managed by the hospital in case of spill, as well the injury. In order to avoid injuries, what type of practices are followed by the hospital? And emergency response, how the emergency response for management of waste, and what type of trainings are given. Therefore, you have to identify the gaps in all these activities, like waste minimization, what steps they are followed. But identify gaps so that you'll be knowing, once if you know these are the gaps identified in these sort of things, then you can prepare a plan. In order to avoid that gaps, what type of plans should be there so that you can ensure compliance to the rules. Then identify issues in the healthcare waste management equipment, like what type of problems are there in equipment, in operating the equipment, what is their size, quantity, and quality of the bins, shops, and containers, and carts. What type of carts you are using for transportation waste? Whether the containers that you are using is a closed type of trolley, or the equipment that you are using is compliant to the norms or not? Are you following any the pre-treatment systems or not? Are you complying to the efficacy rules or not? Whether you are operating the equipment using PPEs or not, everything has to be analyzed. The gaps has to be identified. Once a few gaps are identified, based on the gaps identification, you have to prepare a plan. Means, this is the gap identified, and this is the measures to be taken, and this is the timelines you have to take. These are the plan. This call means you have to identify the gaps in managing the waste in the hospital. Then you have to come out with some sort of the measure, remedial measure for avoid that gap. How to avoid that gap? Therefore, you have to suggest one measure, a remedial measure, and you have to have one timeline. Therefore, that is the plan. Means, identify the gaps, prepare the plan. Means, what is the remedial measures you have to come out for in order to avoid that particular the gap. Then you have to have a timeline so that within the time frame you have to try to comply with the requirements. That's why it is called a plan. Means, you have to prepare some. You have identified some gaps. Based on the gaps identified, you are preparing the plans, and these plans should have some timelines for compliance. Therefore, within the timelines, you have to comply to the requirements. This is the what I told you already. And basic, you have to know about the hospitals, then identify all the waste generation and practices followed in collection, segregation, collection, transportation, pre-treatment of waste, storage gaps, everything you have to identify. And also, what type of treatment is given through a composting. You have to identify the gaps in managing this, how the spill management are managed, whether they are managing properly or not. You have to identify gaps in managing the waste as a part of the healthcare facility. And after identifying the gaps, you have to come out with some sort of the various the plans as a part of remedial measures. And who will do all these things? As per rules, we have to have infection control committee, and also we have to have waste management committee. This waste management committee will take care of aspects related to waste management, whereas infection control committee will take care of how to avoid infections within the hospitals. Means how to maintain the cleanliness, how to maintain the completely sterilized areas so that there will not be any infection spreads among the staff as well as the patients. And this infection control committee is a must as a part of the hospital. And this will both the committees will take care of waste management, and the infection control committee will take care of the infection control as a part of the hospitals. What is there? Who are they? The biometric waste management committee is a must in the hospital if number of beds are more than 30. If number of beds are more than 30, in such hospitals, there should be a biometric waste management committee, and this biometric waste management committee will have all the members. They are the members of this biometric waste management committee, which includes medical superintendent or SMO or nursing superintendent, epidemiological nurse, medical director, and administrative head, members from other departments, or the store in charge, sanitation supervisor, hospital's officer, nodal officer. They're all the what do you call? These are the concerned the members of the biometric waste management committee, so that they will take care of the waste management as a part of the hospitals. Therefore, this committee has to meet once in a quarter, means once in 3 months they have to meet, and they have to find out the lacunas observed in the waste management, and they have to recommend to the management for the purpose of management of the proper management of waste. Wherever there is no number of beds are less than 30, in such a case, the hospital has to designate one nodal officer, and he will take care of the proper waste management within the hospitals. These are the requirements. Basic principles to set up healthcare waste management system in place are conducted waste audit. You have to conduct waste audit, and maximum minimization procedure and recycling of waste wherever possible you have to adopt. Identify the identification of place of generation of waste. What are the places where the waste is generated, and segregation of waste at source. What are the lacunas that you are observed, that you are going to observe. These are the principles, means how the waste is managed, whether the waste is properly segregated or not. And compiling inventory of waste means every ward how much waste is generated is depending upon the color coding, that have the proper system. Disinfection at place of generation means wherever the waste is generated, there the proper disinfection also has to be done as a part of pre-treatment, and also areas also has to be properly disinfected so that there will not be any infections. Waste transportation, it may be on-site or off-site. How the waste is transported, they should have proper treatment systems, on-site treatment and on-site transportation and off-site transportation. Final treatment and disposal options, they have to be followed, and occupational safety, continuous monitoring of the system should be there. Regular training of the staff is a must. This is all the part of the healthcare management system. Waste audit, how to conduct waste audit means how much quantum of waste is generated ward-wise and as a part of healthcare facility. How much quantum of waste is generated? What are the categories of waste? What type of categories of waste is generated as a part of hospital, ward-wise and healthcare facility? And disinfection process, whether you are following the correct procedure for disinfection of the waste. Some waste requires pre-treatment, whether you are going for disinfection properly or not, and whether you are doing the disinfection of the areas like an operating theatre, etc., has to be properly cleaned neatly, maintained neatly, so that you are not going to have any infections. Waste movement, whether the waste movement is proper or not, means as per the schedule or not, whether the waste has been disposed of within 48 hours or not, that has to be seen as a part of audit. Conditions of the protective equipment, the clothing, how they are maintaining the clothing, whether they are maintaining well-maintained clothing or not, that has to be seen. Incidence of sharp injuries and remedial measures. For example, when they are handling any waste, what type of injuries are there and what measures they are taking. Therefore, these are the audit. As a part of the audit, these are the issues has to be examined by the who will do the audit, the infection control committee and biometric waste management committee. They will do this audit covering all these aspects, and this audit also can be conducted through internal the healthcare waste management committees. Healthcare waste management committee, it is a committee actually, through internal committee, or you can conduct this waste audit through external agencies. It may be a state project control board in states. In case of the what you call in the state, it is called the state control board, or you can conduct this waste audit through external agency also. What is the external agency? The NGOs, non-government organizations. Therefore, they will not be partial. They will do their job and give their findings exactly what are the lacunas observed in the waste management as a part of hospital. Therefore, or you can conduct individual also. Any person who is having expertise in the conducting the waste audit, then you can conduct this waste audit also. There is any problem also. You can conduct through external agency or internal agency also. Managerial administration, of course, they have to follow this the systems approach. Personally, in healthcare waste management, how many who are involved in the healthcare waste management? Evaluation waste audit has to be conducted. Waste management committee generally they follow. These are the as a part of the managerial activity. Integrated infection control management should be there. Source of hospital acquired infections. What are the sources where these hospitals are having high infections? Principles of infection control measures has to be followed. What has to be followed so that there will not be any infections? Precautions to be followed while handling waste. Therefore, there should be a standard operating procedures so that we can educate this the healthcare staff so that there will not be any there will not be any problem for the infections they spread by following the precautions and safety measures. Therefore, in order to avoid the infections, what type of safety measures to be followed by the waste handlers so that there will not be any infection for the waste handlers also. Disinfection, you all know about disinfection method, how the waste has to be transported, and also have discussed already, then no need to think about it. Capacity building is awareness, it is a part of awareness, what the rule says, how the waste has to be segregated, how the waste has to be transported, how the waste has to be collected, how the waste has to be stored, everything has to be dealt in the training properly. And the proper guidelines has to be prepared and that has to be given to the healthcare staffs. Principles, contents of training, each category of healthcare person has to be given. And role of WS and the other thing is very important thing is everybody has to be fixed with some roles and responsibilities. Is a must. Now, what are the steps for developing a healthcare waste management plan? Is situation analysis means you have to understand the gap analysis and understand what are the various types of the problems associated in the healthcare waste management as a part of the gap analysis, and identify the challenges in practicing the waste management. That includes waste minimization measures, what they are following, segregation, what they are following, handling, what they are following, what are the collection procedures that they are following, transporting, what they are following, storage, record keeping, occupational safety measures, what they are following, and all. It has to be conducted in the form of audit, and any lacuna that you have observed, that is a gap that you have to identify. Identify the challenges in the procuring equipment, what the problems associated with the procuring the equipment, prioritize issues and target for improvements, and establish proper healthcare waste practices, and in the form of protocols. Therefore, you have to assess what are the practices followed in the healthcare the facility by the for healthcare waste management, and you have to identify the gaps in healthcare waste management within the hospital, and based on the gaps identified, you have to come out with the plan for healthcare waste management. What plan are the remedial measures has to be followed so that waste can be managed properly. Therefore, this can be prepared, draft plan can be prepared. After preparing the draft plan, that can be discussed with all the concerned authorities within the within the what do you call within the healthcare staff. And once this draft plan is prepared and discussed with all the staff, you can go for the implementation. Before while preparing the draft plan, it should cover rationally what are the methods to be followed for managing the waste, and review of parent the present scenario means you have to identify the gaps, and based on the gaps, you're trying to come out with the remedial measures, and who will do what. Whatever the gaps that you have identified, who will do what, you have to identify the persons responsible for implementation of that plan and timelines also. Roles and responsibilities has to be fixed properly for all the staff so that they will do their responsibilities. And linkages to other the committees also has to be linked so that all of the committees also involved in preparing the draft plan. The plan roles and responsibilities of waste management team has to be clearly indicated so that the waste whatever is generated can be managed in accordance with the existing law. Is a must. Once draft is prepared, you have to come out with the tools. Means it is called as a Gantt chart. What you call it is Gantt chart is nothing but what are the waste management aspects. One side the gaps identified it says, and the next column it says what are the remedial measures that you have to follow, and it says the third time it says the time period. You see here there is the gap action plan. These are the plans here you can see in one column based on the gaps identified in the healthcare waste management within the hospital, and the timelines will be there. Therefore, each and every plan, how you are going to comply within what time. Therefore, this is the Gantt chart should be there so that you will try to comply with the requirements. Of course, you have to have proper the what we call as proper the financial things so that you are going to complete the requirements. Organization issues also is very important, and you have to have a team has to be built, and what are the proper training has to be given, and there should be the proper waste management. The team should be there, so that and proper the bonding should be there, so that facilitation also should be allow you have to have proper facilitation so that you will have the adequate infrastructure on the systems. Therefore, these are the things are very important in case of healthcare waste management planning, which includes issues related to, we have discussed today, issues related to healthcare waste management and what are the planning needs of healthcare waste management, which includes the planning can be at local level and also planning may be at national level. And based on the, then we have to prepare the plan in a healthcare waste management based on the, by assessing or by conducting waste audit. How the waste audit is conducted is, one is in the form of the survey, means how the waste is going to be, what is the way type of waste is generated, how the waste are segregated, how waste is the pre-treated, how the waste are transported, how the waste are stored as a part of the hospitals, and how waste are treated and disposed of through a common facility. All these things, what are the procedure followed for spill management, and what are the procedure followed for the occupation safety, everything. Then everything has to be examined, and you have to identify the gaps. Based on the gaps identified, you have to come out with the remedial measures with the timelines. Therefore, that's the plan. Once if this plan is there, then you can manage for the proper management of healthcare waste within the hospitals. In case if you take up at national level, at the national level, we have to have the plan, means how to prepare the plan is, we have to see whether there is a regulatory framework is there. And yes, we have got the regulatory framework. And as per the national plan, if you want to come out with the national plan, you have to see what is the you have to come out with the waste audit, means state wise or what type of waste is generated, how much quantum of waste is generated, and what is the how the waste has to be treated and disposed of, how much quantum of equipment are required, how many facilities are required for us in order to manage this waste generated from the hospitals. It has to be planned, it has to be examined, gaps has to be identified, then come out with the plan with the time-bound activity so that you will try to comply with all the requirements. Therefore, plan is almost all, the rules are there, and you have to examine whether these rules are going to be complied with the requirements or not, as per the rules or not. If not, what are the lacunas that you have observed in the as a part of healthcare facility at the within the hospital. You want in the next level, your assessment has to be changed in accordance with the national level, what as per the requirements. Therefore, plan has to be prepared accordingly, and that has to be prepared and implemented as a part of the hospital. In case of hospital, that is a local level planning, or if you want to manage the waste entire country, then depending upon the rules and regulations, you have to come out, you have to conduct the waste audit, and you have to identify the gaps in terms of how much quantum of waste is generated, how much waste is properly treated and disposed of as on date, how much the waste is not treated. You have to identify all the gaps. Then accordingly, you have to come out with the remedial measures, that is the plan. And you have to suggest some sort of timeline so that they can ensure to comply to the requirements definitely as per the law. I think with this, I feel so we have covered the healthcare waste management in healthcare, how to establish healthcare waste management in a healthcare facility. If you are having any doubts, you can talk to me and you can get it clarified, please. Any doubts? Yeah, Aarti. Yeah, Miss Aarti ji, do you have any doubts, please?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir. Then we can close the session, please.
Thank you very much, Chandrababu sir. I mean, for your nice presentation today. I thank you once again on behalf of Regional Center Bhubaneswar. So, thank you, sir.
Sir, on 24th, I am going to cover up to both the topics, but session starts from 2 o'clock, sir, 2 to 5.
What,
This
sir?
kindly is on 24th, I am going to take 2 classes, 2 chapters. I'm going
24?
24 तारीख को
हाँ,
I'm going to the session I wanted to start from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
4 to 5.
2 to 5. 2
2
to
to
5.
5. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir. Please kindly give them
24, 2 to 5. Okay, sir.
yes, sir. Please
Thank
kindly
you.
give the email and message
you,
to me
sir.
so that I can correct. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.